So it's International Women's Day, and that just seems very, very relevant right now, actually, because you started in a man's world, in the merchant banking world, when you were 18, very male dominated, and then you went on to become a successful entrepreneur. So I think that sounds like a story we want to hear.
Wow. Well, when I started, clearly I'm a little bit older than my 20s now. So when I started at 18, it was quite a long time ago. It was in the 1980s, and the world was very, very different.
Right.
I started work for a merchant bank, and bottom line, I was a little bit too noisy, for the library environment that they had. So instead of me going to the back office where you could be a little bit more noisy, somebody suggested I went and joined the noisy lot, the money brokers. And that's what I went and did. So I worked with about 60, 70 men. I was the only woman in a male-dominated environment. They worked pretty hard, started at 7:30 in the morning, finished at 5-ish in the evening. But they played pretty hard too. In those days, they even had 3-hour lunches, some of them.
Oh, crikey.
Not quite like that these days. But yeah, it was a fantastic time. I mean, what a great time to be in the city in your early 20s with an environment of people who just wanted to party and have some fun. What a great thing. But not something that was sustainable for me.
Well, you did very well, didn't you? But then what happened? You were there for about 8 years, I seem to remember. So what happened? Why did you leave? What happened after that?
So I was there for about 8 years. I was absolutely having a ball. And unfortunately, I became really, really ill. I got shingles across my face. And anybody who's experienced shingles actually knows it's pretty painful around your middle.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely horrific when it hits your eyes. So I was off work for about 2 months. It was a great diet. I lost about 2 stone in 2 weeks. But which is always good being a woman. It's always what you want to do to an extent. And when I went back, I just didn't have the energy. I didn't have the impetus that I really needed to maintain that incredibly hard work lifestyle. So I got out. I got out after another year, and I was just getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Just thought, right, okay, I'll go back, and I fell pregnant.
Ah.
So that was kind of the end of that plan.
Right.
Really.
Okay.
So that went to complete batshit.
City life and having children in your 20s didn't work together.
Yeah, not really. Not really. My husband at the time worked for Royal Mail.
Okay.
So we went from having an awful lot of money to having hardly any.
Mm.
And that was an interesting challenge. So after I'd had my son, I started a small business.
Okay. What were you doing?
We were selling. It was very highbrow, very highbrow. It's really like right up there. We were selling secondhand maternity wear.
Okay.
And it just was all wrong. Everything was wrong about it. I did it with a girlfriend. It didn't work. The location didn't work. Although we were above a baby shop, so it wasn't that stupid.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't the money there. There wasn't the impetus. People didn't want secondhand kit, if you like. Then I think it's very different now. My son is nearly 30.
Right.
So it's quite different.
So no social media back then either. So
no social media. Who knew there was a life before social media? Yeah, it was dropping leaflets through people's doors and putting adverts in papers and things. Yeah.
All sounds very quaint these days, isn't it? But yeah.
Yeah, very parochial. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very, very different. So that kind of didn't work. And then what happened? Oh, yeah, I split up with Tony, my ex-husband.
Okay.
So then there really was no money.
Yeah.
Clearly.
So no business, no marriage, no husband with a job. So Now you're on your own. You got, what's your son's name?
Chris?
Chris, your son. So you and Chris. So what did you do next?
Well, I did what any sensible woman does, of course. I went to work full time. Clearly,
Yeah,
that was a really great idea.
it's easy. This is the modern world, though, now, isn't it? That we all do that, but it's so hard, isn't it, when you've got all these other things going on?
It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Absolute nightmare. The most stressful thing, and I think there isn't a woman that can't relate to this. The
Hmm.
most stressful thing for me was when my son was ill.
Mm.
So I'd wake up in the morning and Chris wouldn't be well, and I had to go to work. And then what do I do? His dad's working, you
Yeah.
know, what do you do? How do you juggle that scenario? And it was really, I found that really, really difficult, really hard. And I have massive regrets around stuff to do with that, because I used to leave at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
drive to Horsham area, go and work, and come back, and I'd be home at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening. And
Yeah.
Chris was only 18 months old.
Right.
So it was rubbish, properly
Mm.
rubbish.
But you did what you had to do. You were in a situation where if you didn't go and put food on the table, there was no food on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a massive I reflect on it now. When one splits up with one's husband, you get a certain amount of money per month. Well, mine was a £250 a month when Chris was 18 months old. It was still £250 a month when he was 18. So got slight change clearly as life goes on. But
Yeah.
those are the things. And to me, it was just, well, I don't want your money. I just want to carry on and get on with stuff. I'm a bit independent. That's the word, Stuart. I'm a
I
little
would.
bit independent.
I've never noticed that. I have known you for a little while now. I've never noticed your independent streak. So
Bloody-minded is another word you could use as
okay.
well.
Well, yeah, strong, independent, definitely. Those are words I would describe you as, definitely. So you mentioned about Horsham. So from what I remember when we spoke before, this was you going out doing some sort of sales role, wasn't it? The company you worked for got bought by this company in Horsham, but that worked out pretty well at the time, didn't it?
Oh God, yeah, fantastic. I went from I think I went over there originally, and I was on a very basic salary. But as time went on, um, I got more involved in sales and became a top salesperson and earned an awful lot of money. The thing with sales, though, you're only as good as your last deal, literally.
Hmm.
So you might have had a cracking, what month we're in now? March. So I might have had a fantastic February.
Yeah.
Come the 1st of March, you better get jiggy with it again, right?
Off you go.
And
Yeah.
you're on that treadmill all the time, and it's hard, really, really hard. And you're going back to people, and you're working hard, and yeah, it's tough. I'm glad I'm not in that anymore. That was tough, but amazing in its own way, I guess.
Okay.
Really.
Now, you obviously you spoke a little bit about the first business that you ran with the secondhand maternity clothes, but you dabbled with network marketing before the current business that you're in, haven't you? A couple of times, I seem to remember.
Yeah. Chris was 18 months old, and I joined Amway.
Okay.
Most people have probably heard of Amway, and yeah, I joined Amway because I could see the residual income. I could understand the concept, and it looked great. And I was rubbish.
Right.
I was really, really rubbish.
Okay.
I think I probably got 3 customers, and one of my friends joined, and she was as rubbish as I was.
Right.
So altogether, we were really, really rubbish. So that didn't work. Then Chris was about 9, and money was getting a bit better, but it wasn't brilliant. And we'd bought a bigger house and tried to sort things out. And an opportunity came along. I bought some greeting cards from
Hmm.
somebody,
Hmm.
and they gave me a magazine. So I looked at the magazine, because it's funny how you will flick through something, right? That's quite funny.
Hmm.
And I rang the person up because there was a business opportunity with a company called Phoenix Trading, selling greeting cards. Back then, postage costs weren't probably quite as high as they are now.
Hmm.
And I said, can I sign up? That was it. So I signed up, went really, really well. Had a team of about 20 or so people, 20 or so women. It was
Okay.
all women, complete women dominated business. And I've always come from a male dominated environment. So that was very interesting.
Yeah.
And it went brilliantly well. But I had to buy lots of stock,
Okay.
loads of stock to be able to go and do a fair and sell it. Because when somebody said, I want an 80th birthday card, you needed to have it.
Yeah.
Well, because if you didn't have it, funny enough, they probably weren't going to buy something else.
No. No.
And the cards were £1 each. So
Yeah. So how much did you have to fork out to buy stock then?
I mean, I'd buy loads and loads because every month you had to sell a certain amount to get the residual income
Okay.
on the group. So I ended up with about £5 worth of stock easily under the
Right.
table. And my son used to come with me to these events and he hated it. Hated sitting, going
Right.
to these events. Even now he'll say to me, Mum, they were terrible. They were really bad. And they were really cold, always, because the rain came and all that kind of stuff. So, and I did that for a while until, unfortunately, I was really, really ill, properly ill. And I got diagnosed with something. I have no immune system. How bizarre.
Right.
So I got pneumonia. I got 6 bouts of pneumonia back to back.
Oh, crikey.
So clearly I couldn't do anything. Couldn't lifting boxes and stuff was a bit of a no-no. So I got rid of all that £5 worth of stock for 1,500 quid. Cracking.
Yeah.
So that went really, really well. And I put the whole thing down. The irony, the real irony for me, was when I was doing Phoenix Trading. So there I was doing that side hustle, had a good job, bought this house, and my mortgage advisor signed me up as a customer
Right.
of Utility Warehouse.
Okay. Now, you didn't mention becoming a partner then. So, what happened in that conversation? This is somebody who obviously knew what Utility Warehouse did. They were involved. They were a partner. They were talking to you about your mortgage. So obviously, there's a good in to talking about a customer. But they must have got to know you a little bit. They must have known you were quite successful in what you were doing, that you were doing a side hustle at the same time. Why didn't they talk about the business?
Didn't tell me anything about it. Nothing. Gave me a piece of paper because back then you had to sign a form. I mean,
Yeah.
this was a long time ago.
Yeah, you had
Chris.
to get a quill, didn't you? And just
Yeah, that's right. I'm not that old, but thanks. Yes. So Chris was 9, so 21 years ago,
right.
and I can't even remember the gentleman's name, but he did my mortgage. He came, signed it up, and he said, "Oh well, I can do your gas and electricity as well." And I went, "Yeah, okay." Signed on the dotted line. I stayed a customer for at least 6 years.
Okay.
I didn't do anything about it, and then I changed.
Yeah. Okay. So in the intervening period between then and now, you had the sales business. I know you told me you went self-employed in that sort of sales side of things, didn't you?
I did. So when I got sorted medically, I suppose, with this chronic illness, I then went back to work with the same company, and then I went self-employed, and earned a lot of money. But the one thing I realised really, really early is if you have all your eggs in one basket,
Hmm.
if you drop the basket, all your eggs break. Now you might not drop the basket. Somebody might kick the basket out of your hand. things happen in life, right? Companies go bust through no fault of an employee's own. So if you
Yeah.
put all your eggs in one basket, it goes wrong. It can really go horribly wrong. And
Yeah.
so although I was self-employed with this particular consultancy, I just realized I had to have something else. There had
Okay.
to be something else. So somebody suggested I retrain as a mortgage advisor, which I did.
Okay. So mortgage advisor, this was probably before the FSA became too onerous, but you did quite well with it, or was it at the start of
Yeah,
the
so
FSA?
it was I must have been I was probably 13 years ago, something like that. So the FCA was, pretty serious, to be fair. We had
Yeah.
to take a lot of
Yeah.
exams and various bits and pieces and
Okay.
did very well. Yeah. So I was working with a company, self-employed. Then I went, why am I giving away 50% of my money when I'm doing all of the work? So I set up my own business, which was great, but there was only ever me, and
Mm,
which meant I did everything. And trust me, with mortgages, you have so much paperwork, so much stuff. Everybody wants to talk to you in the evenings, and you're working all day. So you're
yeah.
then putting 70 to 80 hours in every week. It's a
Right.
lot of time. And Sunday morning, I can just go and do some paperwork and shuffle some paperwork. Great. There goes my weekend. Um, so, the life I led. Oh, it was marvelous. And
Okay. So go on.
no, it was just, it was amazing. And then I went networking,
Okay.
and I found out about this UW thing.
So utility warehouse was introduced to you again at networking, but this time the person did talk about the fact that you could do this as a way of generating income, and you learned something new about utility
Not
warehouse.
not to begin with. The first person I met just told me all about being a customer, but I didn't really understand a word that he said. He
Okay.
really didn't explain it. He just kept waving this cashback card at me, and I didn't really get it.
Right.
And then I went to another networking, and I met a woman because it was an
Okay.
all women's networking. And I met this woman, and we were just about to buy a house. And I said, "Oh, look, we'll be a customer." I liked her. That was always a good start.
Yeah.
And we became a customer, but she showed a presentation with Joanna Lumley in it,
Right. I remember that.
and there was a business opportunity, and I just kind of went, hang on a minute. And for 3 months, I thought about it, and I asked myself why I wasn't doing it. Why am I
Right.
not doing this? Why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing this? And then I rang her up, same as the Phoenix. I rang her up and I went, "You better come and sign me up."
Okay.
And that was it.
So you'd stopped the sales business by then. I seem to remember you still had your mortgage business, and you started doing UW in the sort of nooks and crannies of the day around the mortgage
Totally.
business.
Yeah.
There was a point, though, wasn't there, where everything changed. Tell us that story, because you can use your colourful language as well if you want. Because when you told me this story before, it really did hit home for me. So tell us what happened on that trip.
So we joined UW in July 2018. And really we joined because there was this holiday to New York and Washington.
Right.
My other half is ex-military. Love him, but the hotel for a holiday has to have clean sheets and hot running water, and that's about it. That's the bar, literally. So
Right.
anything above that, I really have to work quite hard on. So they talked about this incredible incentive to go to New York and Washington, and I've never been to New York at the time, and I really wanted to go to Washington, and it excited me and it interested me. So we were doing really well. We were building a business. We were helping lots of people to save on their household bills, and we qualified, which was great. So September 2019, we went to Washington and New York.
Right.
Amazing. We even all got let in the White House, and Trump was there at the time, so that was quite a surprise that we got let in.
Okay.
And then we went to New York, and Mark and I had been off doing various bits and pieces. And we were on this bus going round Central Park. Hot day, been walking for ages, and I was on the phone sorting out someone's mortgage.
Okay. Not taking in the scenery then.
Not literally, I'd spent the last hour doing it, like at the bus stop, everything. And I just went and I put the phone down and I said, "What the?" You want me to say it? I said to him, "What the fuck am I doing?" I said, "What am I doing? I'm earning more in my spare time in those tiny little nooks and crannies, helping people save, than I am working 70, 80 hours a week, doing all that bloody paperwork, all the stress of somebody ringing him up and saying, oh, you haven't filled that bit in properly, or you didn't
Mm.
write this in your suitability letter, or whatever it was. What am I doing?" So it was September 2019. I
Okay.
sold my business January 2020.
That was quite fortunate timing.
It was great for me, to be fair.
Yeah.
Great for me.
Yeah.
Life
So
change.
you got rid of the mortgage business,
Yeah.
no more 70-hour weeks,
No.
and you really, I mean, you already were doing well with UW, but you really have sort of raced forward since then. You've had a great success story. You know, you got to one of the senior positions, group leader, within a very short space of time. I know you've done really, really well. Tell us, what does life look like now compared to what it used to look like, either when you were doing the mortgage business or when you were working in the city, or all of the stuff that you've had before?
So when I always used to get up really, really early, 5:30, 5 o'clock, stuff like that. I don't get up so early. I am quite an early riser. I am definitely, a morning person. And I go and walk the dog and I chill and I work when I want to work and I don't work when I don't want to work. And, Mark and I will go abroad quite a lot and we'll do stuff from abroad. I have no stress, none whatsoever. I have to go to the hospital and do various bits and pieces. I never ask anybody for any time off. I just think it's the most amazing business. And we haven't done anything major. In fact, people are doing it far quicker now than we ever did because the opportunity is bigger.
Mhm.
But for me, it's just I have a great life,
Mm.
blinking great life. I'm completely retired at 52. I retired, and I do this because I want to,
Mm.
and not because I have to. And that makes a really, really big difference.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess that much less stressful environment, that's probably pretty good for your health as well, isn't it, compared to the environment
Yeah,
you're in?
massively. If I don't get the train to London, I'm not exposed to all those nasty things that fly around the train, clearly.
Yeah.
And with no immune system, it's probably quite good not to be, exposed to those. And the stress, yeah, definitely makes a really, really big difference to my life. And I love my life. It's great. Clearly, there's a long way to go, and we aren't stopping. We love it, and we're not stopping.
Well, if we look at your journey from working in that really busy, exciting, but busy male dominated environment that we spoke about right at the start, to branching out on your own, trying different ventures, succeeding in some, failing in others, always being out there, trying and striving. And you said to me before this interview, if it is to be, it's up to me. And I remember there was a phrase you had on the wall in your office. What was your phrase?
So when I first went self-employed, I had loads of lunches and I had a lovely time, and then I earned no money. So then I realized I needed to start to look at myself, and my phrase, and it's on the wall, and it said, would I employ me today? Because
So
I
wait,
can lie to everybody that I'm really, really busy. But when you look in the mirror, can I actually lie to myself? And I didn't feel I could. And it worked because everything changed.
yeah. And you've applied that. Obviously, you're now able to enjoy the lifestyle because you found Utility Warehouse. So you're not having to work those hours, but you are able to achieve that success and have the lifestyle and be able to support other people to do the same and help them on their journey. And I know we've got some of the people that you have introduced to the business have been commenting to say they're really enjoying watching this. I'm sure they've been inspired to hear your story, because it's been inspiring for me to hear your story, and I'm sure it's been inspiring for them. So all I would say is, anybody that's watching this that isn't already a partner with Utility Warehouse and is looking for something, either as a side hustle, or they have always wanted their own business, or they just want something that's going to give them a better lifestyle whilst being able to earn decent money, go and talk to whoever brought you onto this recording, whether it was me or it was Sue or it was somebody else that asked you to look at it. Go back to whoever that was and say, actually, I need to take a look at this because I want to change some things in my life. I'm ready to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Big thing, I think, as well. If you want to change some things in your life, you got to change some things in your life.
I love that. That's the perfect way to close. Sue, thank you very much. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
again soon.
Take care. Thanks, Stuart.